Yay! We are so excited to have a very, very dear friend and an awesome person, Craig Jonas, the CEO and founder of CoPeace. Co-founder of CoPeace. He has told us that he is freshly shaved, which we're very relieved about, and he has either maracas in the background or a wet dog who's shaking around.
There's Lee Fergus.
Yes.
I jumped ahead with the Moroccan Lee Fergus.
That's right. It's wee Fergus. He's getting busy.
He's the most amazing Morocco player. All right. So the first thing we want to... Good. I would like you to record him and send it to us.
Yes, please.
So first question out the gate. Thank you for joining Trailblazers. We would love to know a little bit more about CoPeace. We know a bit. We know you know a lot. And so what would you like to share about CoPeace and what you're all about?
Well, first of all, quite a pleasure to be with you, and I appreciate the invitation. CoPeace helps impactful companies grow, and we do that through investing in companies and helping them through some services like financing, modeling, marketing, things like that. We're fashioned after a miniature Berkshire Hathaway, quite miniature right now as we figure some things out on that side. But the idea is to diversify and invest in companies that are doing good for the world, which sounds a bit idealistic, but we argue, and the data is showing, that is a good business decision to care about the future of our world. So far so good. We had friends and family that had seen us succeed in some other things we had done and got us a little money to get started. So we're off to the races. We've made a few investments already, and we've got 10 companies in our little portfolio.
Wow. So two questions, Craig, because I don't think I've ever asked you this, is what was the seminal moment? What was that catalyst that finally made you go, you know what, I want to found and run a business that does good for the world?
Yeah, well, good question. My parents were very socially mission aligned with making the world a better place, and I grew up all over the place, mostly Midwest, but some in India, and kind of wanted to see if business could have influence in making the world a better place, and really wasn't seeing it until not too long ago, where this impact investing movement seemed to be showing some legs, and I wasn't really feeding my soul in some of the things I've been doing, even though they look kind of cool from the outside. And I took a chance. I took a little exit and started to build the company. So it really is built on something I thought about in college. I thought of this term that kind of kept in my craw, I guess, for my whole life, called interdependent flux, where everything is kind of related, everything's kind of changing, and there's a way to kind of harness that change for good. I know that sounds like such an idealistic thing, but it's happening, and we don't have a lot of time. We've got to use business to make the world a better place, and I feel like it has responsibility in the challenges that we have in front of us.
No, I love that. I love the idea too of using business to make the world a better place. I think oftentimes we get stuck in this idea that it has to be people and individual wealth of the people to kind of make, I guess, a ripple effect. And the truth is, the majority of money, it sits in business. So it makes sense that business would kind of, get on board with impact investing.
I think you should evaluate your terminology and call it an interdependent flux capacitor, just to make a Back to the Future reference.
Oh my God!
Just do that.
I'm going to start bringing that in.
Can I just say that's the nerdiest thing today that Bruce has said?
Yes.
And potentially this week, flux capacitor. Back to the Future.
No, that's big. That's pretty big. That's pretty big. There's a couple nerdy things that come up. Yeah.
There's a few.
Yeah.
So another question for you is, when you think about kind of the work that you do, what challenges are you seeing in the industry that you're in impact investing, and in really kind of making the ripple effect happen that you want to happen?
Yeah, I think the challenge is the ripple, and it's got to be a wave. I think that the just the mentality that, like you said, business is here, doing good is here, and that they don't necessarily get together. And I think that being able to allow people to think a little differently on that is the largest challenge. I mean, there's still a lot of people that don't think it's real, that you can have impact with your money for good. But it is real, and it's happening. And the young people and women make sure it happens as we transfer our wealth from during the silver tsunami, as people are moving their wealth to to their heirs.
A question for you: when you are looking for kind of prospective places to invest, is it usually the company that's doing the good, right? The nonprofit that's out there doing something, or is it the investors that are coming to you to say they want to give their money somewhere? Are you're kind of the yenta, right?
Yeah.
Between people who are investing
Yep.
and how does that come to you? Is it usually you seeking them or
Yeah.
them seeking you?
Well, so far it's been very organic through our network and our ecosystem. We use what we call the head plus heart times math approach as we filter opportunities. But we're not shy about seeking a strong return, because we think that helps the sustainability of the good that's being done by these businesses. We've looked at about 400 so far, and
Wow.
it's very inspiring, and it gives me hope, and it should give everybody hope that young people again, and women especially, are coming up with these great business ideas that have the chance to move the needle a little bit and make that ripple more of a wave. Um, and they often need a little bit of help. So I think one of the things we discovered pretty early on is, instead of us being shy about our no hair, gray hair, because we want to be cool with the young people, we're like, okay, we've been around for a while. I know that Rogaine works. the,
We're just talking gray hair right now.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just kidding. But we can be helpful, So tapping into some of our, network has been something that's been really, really good for CoPeace and the companies we're working with.
That's awesome.
I'm curious to know if, off the top of your head, I know you've got 10 companies in your portfolio right now. Give an example of one or two that you are excited about, or just come to the top of mind, because I'm sure they're all fantastic. So I don't want to take away from the ones that you don't reference. But maybe give us an example of one or two that you're currently working with.
Yeah, the one that kind of usually comes to mind, we're trying to find things that are socially and environmentally impactful, and give us at least a 20% return. So the one that kind of fits both is a company that came to us through our NBA connections. Most of my background is in sport, and it's a Black woman-run business out of New York that's bringing clean infrastructure technology to communities that don't have access to the grid and some sustainable things. And she's brilliant, she's great, and it hits both the environmental side, because it's making the world a cleaner place, and it helps the social side because it's helping bring this technology and these capabilities to communities that have typically not had access.
That's great.
Lately, we've been able. Yeah, we got a little early. We got a little early luck with some of our initial investments in kind of clean energy, like Uncharted is the name of that company. But lately, we've been able to get some more socially impactful companies as well, and that's nice for the diversification of what we're trying to do.
Sure, that's great.
That's fantastic. I know that there is sometimes this sense that when business tries to send, funnel money towards a good cause, they're trying to meet is it ESG, I think, guidelines that a lot of companies, environmental, social, and governance. And I think a lot of people can see right through businesses that are doing it to tick the boxes versus businesses that are doing it to actually actually make change. We've seen it. We have a couple of clients that they take the volunteering within the community kind of to the next level by, regularly scheduling engagement within the community, et cetera. So we're really excited to know you and know that you're doing things like this. So when you think about, because we're in the business of teaching people to be better in business relationships and personal relationships with higher interpersonal skills. When you think about soft skills, what in your mind would you say is kind of some of the, or one of the top soft skills that you think is needed that you're either not seeing or you just know people need to have out there in business today?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. The empathy. I feel like, that especially in today's divisive world that we're in, the ability to perceive what others are thinking and feeling is just a soft skill that I don't think can be more important than today. So I feel like that's a big one, and I feel like we're trying to be good at that here at CoPeace. I know you two are both excellent at that, and really appreciate the way you bring kind of ooze empathy in throughout your presentation. So
that sounds gross.
So
like
that's a big one.
Can I get a towel?
Yes. No, I agree with you.
Wipe my empathy off my forehead.
No, we don't want to wipe it off.
Ew.
It's what's crazy about it, Craig, is that people think there's a lot of people out there that believe you're born with it or not.
Yeah.
And the truth is you can improve those skills. It just takes education and practice in the language that you use, and just attention and mindfulness. And it's so great when we have an opportunity to work with teams and see kind of the aha moment of, oh, if I just kind of take a moment, create space for them to share, if I'm not coming from a place of judgment or trying to fix things, how connected it can make someone to another person, and how that increases trust.
And increases the performance of a culture, and then increases business performance, right?
Exactly.
Like it really is a direct line. The reason why people leave jobs is because of bad managers, and bad managers are often very have a lack of empathy. Yeah, and sorry, it took again the cold break.
But you wiped it off. You couldn't bring it back.
Exactly. Don't wipe it off.
I wiped it on. Look at that.
What was that? What's the towel that Jerry Tarkanian? The terrible towel? Oh no, what's that? That's from
Steelers.
But Tarkanian had something too. Okay, another question. When you as a leader kind of are looking back to people you've worked for and with in executive roles, what has been a piece of advice that has been given to you that has really stuck with you as kind of a good centering, grounding piece of advice as a leader that you use today?
Yeah, that's a good question. I as a former coach, I ended up being friends with John Wooden and some kind of really high level coaches, and I think Coach Wooden had all the sayings. One of my sayings back here is it's what you learn after you know it all that counts. So I think to have an open mind for bringing in new information and new data and blend that into your world in a way that can kind of help you grow is a good skill that I gleaned at least from some leaders that I've talked to and worked with in the past. Honestly, I had a lot of bad leaders that I worked with as well, and I learned kind of what not to do from that environment, and then you just kind of try to piece it together.
All right, so I'm gonna go further on that. Give me an example of something not to do that you learned from a bad leader.
You don't have to name the leader.
That's right. His name is Bob Jameson.
What not to do is the same thing for everybody. So some people react differently to different stimulus in different situations, and if you have a one approach that you think has to work for everybody, that doesn't work. You really have to, we call it reading the defense in the sports world, and you have to be able to adjust and push the right buttons for different people for things that work for them. So what I've seen a lot of times in bad leadership is, okay, this is the way we do it. Maybe I'm a yeller or whatever, and that's how we get there. Yeah, it doesn't work for everybody, especially young people today.
Yeah, it's like chameleon leadership is the way I would kind of say that. You really do have to consider the other person that you're trying to lead, not just the fact that, the concept of command and control leadership has really been somewhat refuted because of the need to involve the people. There's a servant leadership aspect that goes along with all this that I think most people want to work in companies like that. I will say not all. Some people do thrive in the command and control cultures.
Sure. Exactly.
I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them. So
well, and I always think it's fascinating when leaders say who are in those roles where they're definitely more top down and very ego driven, and they'll say, well, nobody around me knows how to do anything. And when you step back and look at the way that they're leading, it's like, when have you ever empowered them, and coached them and given them opportunity to grow into this new knowledge and these new skills? You haven't, because you need to be in control of everything, information and tools and the way you do business. So I find that really interesting. Great advice. And you are among the top kind of much revered and much wanted leaders, because that is what all of the data is showing people want in a leader, is someone who two things. One, they know how to show up for their people in the way to get them to do their best work. And two, they are a really big fan of, oh gosh, how do I put it this way?
Sandwiches?
Not stopping the learning, right? Staying curious instead of just, I know what I know and this is how it is. It's like, well, how could what I know today be not right? And how do we, how can we explore and stay curious and open as opposed to certain and stuck? So great advice. What are you looking forward to personally in your life right now, like a trip or something? What's inspiring you?
The first thing that is inspiring me is I figured out a different use of a paperclip. So today, I got very inspired by taking a paperclip and then using it to open my bills. So I just kind of go in.
It's a letter opener.
So that's like personally,
awesome.
My oldest got married in a couple months ago, and that's been pretty exciting. And my youngest just announced that he's getting married in a couple months coming up. So we've got back-to-back weddings, which is that's how cool is that? Now I'm getting older, so I'm ready for some grandkids. So I'm trying to say, you don't even have to worry about getting married. Just get them started here, because
those kids, is the first thing you're going to give them a basketball? Yes, like, here you go. All right. Papa wants to play basketball. Let's go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that is so exciting. Do you know what you want to be called yet? Are you like, I want to be called Papa Craig or Pops?
No, I'm not. Honestly, I'm not.
You daddy.
Not thought. We'll let it. I think we'll kind of work with the kid to figure it out together. Maybe we'll just kind of see what works. And then
let's riff for a moment, Craig.
And then go from there.
All right, okay,
let's improv this. We're gonna improv your name. So let's say PJ for Papa Jonas.
I like CJ. Let's go CJ. It's kind of easy to say. CJ.
Okay, I'm gonna say Gramps.
Oh, Craggly.
I'm gonna say
Craggly.
How about Cragpaw?
Cragpaw. Okay. I think those are good. I think any of those would be exceptional grandfather names.
Or Lord Jonas.
Lord Jonas. Jonas of the dance.
Lord Jonas of the dance.
That one I don't see.
Oh,
I think so.
oh, then it's got to be it.
Oh, it's got to be
That's
that.
got to be it.
Well, you could be LJ for sure.
LJ.
Thank you,
it.
thank you,
Oh, this has been
Craig
great,
and
Craig.
Fergus
Thank
for
you.
being with us today.
Yes.
We're very thankful for
So now,
having
now Fergus is
you.
finally settling down. He's no more this.
He's,
Thanks for having me.
I'm exhausted.
I always learn
Well,
from you, and I appreciate you, and thank you for having me on.
It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll leave all of the information about the work that you're doing with regards to links to your website if people are interested in pursuing you more, because you're doing great work.
You are.
And we want to see that mini Berkshire Hathaway being a giant
Maxi.
Berkshire Hathaway. So
Mini B Maxi.
We're good for that.
Yay.
Awesome. Thank you.